Now, the thing that we're going to need a lot of when we're building a bunch of these machines is the circuits. I went ahead and built some of these good electronic circuits, but I think we're going to need a ton more, especially since the gauges by themselves, if you want to make two, that requires 2 circuits just for the gauges, and we're going to use a lot of gauges. Plus, we're going to have to build a whole bunch of machines, so we need a lot of circuits. So what I'm thinking is that we should go ahead and build the circuit assembler. Because with the circuit assembler, we can then make the best circuits. Like this best MV circuit. There's all this stuff right here. Fine red alloy wire, easy to make. Resistors, easy to make. We've done that. These transistors just require polyethylene, which we have a way of making now. Silicon plate and fine tin wire, easy. These capacitors are just polyethylene once again, and aluminum foil, easy. And the plastic circuit board, we do need sodium persulfate, and we were planning on making that so we can do the chemical bathing of a lot of our ores anyway. And copper and a plastic circuit board, which you make with sulfuric acid and polyethylene, or polyvinyl chloride, which we're also making, and you can get 2 of them instead of just 1. And sulfuric acid, we're making this to make the polyethylene, so we have access to that as well. So we could totally make this. The only thing we're missing is the sodium persulfate, but we do need to make this sodium persulfate anyway. And then the other thing is the CPU chip. Now this is not too difficult actually. You just need a CPU wafer, which you get from a silicon wafer on the laser engraver. And the silicon wafer comes from the monocrystalline silicon buell. And that is actually made from silicon and gallium arsenide, which we already have a bunch of, in the EBF. So I knew we were going to do this, so I went ahead and made a bunch of silicon and gallium arsenide in the EBF to make a bunch of these. And that's because it takes 450 seconds to do. So I got a bunch of that, put it in here, and I've already made 32 of them. Now, that is something that you should be making pretty early so that you have some, because it does take a long time to make in the EBF. But now that we have it, we can use it on the cutter to make a bunch of those wafers, which we can then imprint with the laser engraver to make the different chips that we need. The only problem with that is it requires an MV cutter or an aluminum saw. And we're going to need an advanced cutter anyway for doing a bunch of stuff. So I think we should add that to the list and actually make that a priority, because as soon as we can make the better electronic circuits, that will allow us to make all of the other stuff a lot easier as well. So now the other thing that we are going to need is a medium voltage laser engraver, I think. So let's see, this one right here, this basic laser engraver, don't think it'll do it. Yeah, right here, MV. So we are going to have an MV laser engraver as well. So let's go ahead and add that to the list. We need the cutter, we need the laser engraver, and we need the circuit assembler as well. So we'll put that right there. So once we get these things and we get the materials, we'll be able to make the circuits better, and then we'll be able to make everything else a lot easier as well. And the really nice thing is that when you click on this, these are the best MV circuits you can make, and you will also be making them for the remainder of the game. Because these microprocessors, MV tier circuits, they're actually used to make HV tier circuits as well. And then these HV tier circuits are used to make the EV tier circuits. The EV is used to make the IV, and so on and so on. So we won't be wasting any of our time setting this up. Here's an interesting thing. In order to make the advanced laser engraver, you need a flawless emerald. That's for making the MV emitter. I mean, that's pretty cool. And I happen to have 16 exquisite. You only need a flawless. 47 flawless. Easy peasy. So I was about to make the advanced circuit assembler, and I just realized you need to have 2 HV circuits in order to get that done. If we look here, that's where this comes in. So we do need the laser engraver, which I did make. And so then we can use the silicon boule here and get these chips that we need. But the problem is, in order to get this HV circuit so that we can make the circuit assembler, it's a little different. Yeah, this is a whole nother ball of wax. Don't think it'll be too difficult to do, though. We've got the cutter, so we can do these. We have the laser engraver, so we can do that. Once we have the advanced circuit assembler, we can make the good circuits and not have to worry about everything else. So let's do it. So we're going to need 2 of these. Boom, 2 of those. Okay, great. Electrum wire, easy to do. Needle copper bolts, easy to do. Transistors, I don't know. Medium voltage assembler. I have not made it a medium voltage assembler, have I? Once we build the advanced assembler, then we should be able to do all of this. All right, advanced assembler, done. So we got the laser engraver, cutter, advanced assembler. So we can take the advanced assembler off the list. So advanced circuit assembler. Oh, that's right, we need the HV circuits. So HV circuit that we need is this one. How do you make it? I'm gonna do this one. Okay. You can get this stuff pretty easy. Transistor, polyethylene, tin wire, silicon plate. Okay. We need the RAM chip, the IC chip. Let's explode all of this stuff just to be sure. All right. Not too bad. Not too bad. I think the first thing we need to do is set up some of these machines just so that we can use them. Like, I've done the lathe over here, got the turbocharger. Just put a bunch right here. For instance, the advanced assembler, we can just stick right there. Laser engraver, cutter, make sure they're hooked up to power. Oh, can we not do the silicon here? No, probably not. It's probably in the EBF, isn't it? Yeah, well, no, the EBF. Yes, but then it's hot, and then you have to cool that in a chemical bath to get the silicon ingot. Okay, that's okay. We can do that. And if we throw that in, it is not doing anything. Oh, like right here, it says coil copper-nickel. Okay, but if we go back to the silicon ingot, coil canthal. Oh, so you have to have at least canthal. Okay, well that is a new thing that we're gonna have to make then. Canthal coil blocks. That's in the assembler. That is aluminum, canthal wire, and liquid copper. Okay, that's not difficult to do. The canthal wire, however, means we need canthal ingots, which you have to cool off, and you get that canthal dust, HV, but copper nickel. Okay, 16. Okay, so we're gonna need 16 canthal coil blocks. So we need 43 chromium, 43 aluminum, and 43 iron. There's our canthal dust. Excellent. So we can grab that canthal dust. And we can go over to the EBF. So set it to a 2. Throw that in. And that's not working. Copper nickel. Oh, but it has to have HV. Oh, no. So MV energy hatch. Okay, for this, we can craft. Okay, so we need to make the UL pick wafer, which is a laser engraver. You have to have a blue lens. How do you make the sapphire lens? So low speed on a lathe. Or you can just put it on in the lathe itself, which we happen to have right here. So we throw that in. All right, cool. I mean, it does take a minute, but I don't know how long it would have taken if we had taken it over to the other one, the grinder. All right, let's go to the cutter. Where's the cutter? Right there. Okay, throw that in. Oh, but we gotta have some water. That's right. We've got water in our drum here. And there we go. It takes 40 seconds to cut that into 16 wafers. Okay, so the cutter's done. We've got the wafers. The lathe is done. We've got the lens and some sapphire dust to boot. So now we can go to the laser engraver, use the sapphire lens, and that is how you get the UL pick wafers. And I only need one, so if we put just one in. Oh yeah, look at that. It's doing it. It's doing it. Alright. Laser engraver's done. We've got the UL pick wafer, which then needs to be cut. That takes another 90 seconds. So we have the MV energy hatches, but the problem is that we have LV energy going into the current hatches. So what we actually need is some MV power here. Means we can take that energy hatch and that energy hatch out of it. Okay, energy hatch, check. Energy hatch, check. Alright, we are going to need some cable though, copper cable. Man, we've come a long way since we first built the first EBF. Alright, so cable there, side there, side there, side, side. Make the face the right direction. Are they connected? Yes, looks like that is connected. So now if we go in here, dump in some diesel. Yep, don't run. Yep, just wait. I don't have everything in position yet, dude. Make sure that's full. I don't know how long this is gonna last. I may have to get some pipes and do a kind of a temporary setup with the drum going into the pipes. In fact, I probably should do that. When I got these large gold fluid pipes, I could use those. I mean, I've got them, I might as well use them, right? Just need to make sure that it doesn't hook into the steam here. We don't need the steam. It is going to come down, so let's put it right here. One here. Then you connect these two. Have one right here. Get connected to these two. One pipe in the middle here. And then I think we just need a pipe on this side. Right there. Oh, I'm missing one pipe. That's alright, we can take it off here. Just like that. Okay, now if we connect that and connect that, screwdriver right there. Okay, we can make this flow. And there we go. Diesel flowing into the pipes, and it should connect into there and there. And there and there. Okay, that should be enough. Now, let's turn this on and see what happens. Oh yeah! Hot cantha ingots. So now, before we go ahead and just grab some hot ingots, I think we should probably pick these up. Because I think we're going to need them, right? Alright, so now, if we pick those up, we're good. Yep. Okay. I was afraid I might need something else. But no, we're good. Alright, so chemical bath. Throw these in and add some water. Alright, there we go. Yes, too hot to handle. Regular cantha ingots. Wonderful. Now the question is, when you use the chemical bath, okay, if you use distilled water, it takes 12.5 seconds. 20 seconds for water, and oh, there's no lubricant, so it's just water or distilled water. Distilled water uses less electricity, takes less time. Maybe we should look into getting some distilled water. How do you actually make distilled water? Steam turbine, and not the regular ones. I know it has to be like HV and above, I think, actually make distilled water. If you have a distillery, you can use it, or a distillation tower, or large chemical reactor will make it from processes. Okay, so the way to get distilled water is a distillery. Or you could just use regular water. I mean, it's fine. This takes such a long time. Like, we just take these 8 here and get them all cooled off. And done. Okay, so that was 8 ingots, 8 hot ingots. So now if we go back here, and if there are 8 ingots available, yeah, there's only 6. Oh, but why did this stop? Was it the nitrogen? Oh, the nitrogen gas ran out. Because if I set this to a 1, it'll probably still do it, right? Yeah, but then it takes 45 seconds instead of, I don't know what it takes on the with the nitrogen. There we go. Now it's running again to make some nitrogen. So, side note for all of you watching, you should probably plan on doing this sooner rather than later while you're doing other stuff, because it's a process. Because we can take this canthal ingot, but we need to turn into wire, right? Yeah, because we need liquid copper, aluminum foil, and canthal wire. 2x canthal wire. And the way you get the canthal wire is, of course, in here like this, right? Yep. So while we're waiting, we're going to make some RAM chips, which basically means we need to cut RAM wafers. You get the RAM wafer from green lens. That's an emerald lens. We have an exquisite emerald? We do. So that's the RAM. What about the IC chip? So the IC chip is a red one, which is ruby. Do we have an exquisite ruby? Yes, we do. Okay, let's put one in the lathe here. We'll take the other one and put it, this has to be low, right? So that's at like 16, I think. So throw that in. Oh. That one's done, and this one's still not done. So it was faster to use the belt grinder. Now we have the green and the red. We do need the wafer, right? Get a couple of those. So now if we go to the laser engraver, swap that out for a red one, put one of those in. All right, cool. There's the ILC wafer. Switch that for the green, and we'll get a RAM wafer. And we can cut this one. Right, there's the RAM wafer. That's still cutting. There's the IC chips. Put the RAM wafer in, get some RAM chips. Okay, we're gonna see how far we can get on making this advanced circuit assembler. All right, I think we can make this right here. Just requires LV circuit assembler, so LV circuit assembler. Just need resin printed circuit board, IC chip, 2 resistors, 2 diodes, 2 fine copper wire, and 2 tin bolts. Now we just got to get some liquid tin. Use the gold drum to grab it. Take over to the circuit assembler and drop it off. And there we go. Alright, there's 2 basic integrated circuits. Now to get the good integrated circuits, fine wire. Okay, I think the only thing we're missing is the phenolic printed circuit board. 2 diodes, 4, and the 4th Okay, so that gives us those two. Oh, this is only going to be creating one of these, isn't it? Oh, I should have been doubling up the recipe. Oh well. All right, looks like we're down to the last 4, 5 canthal. We're getting close. Nope, that's it. It's done. That's the last one. I need more water in there. Needs to be an MV assembler, and we need liquid copper, which is really hot. 1358 Kelvin. Make sure there isn't a mold in here. Okay. Now we can throw in the 16 copper, get that liquefied. Okay, that should be enough. All right, we got our liquid copper, we've got our canthal wire, we have our aluminum foil. We go to the assembler, we should be able to do this. Yes, it's working. Here we go. We got our 16 canthal coil blocks. Now we can go upgrade the EBF. There we go. The ladder back. All right, it's good. Now let's test it out with that silicon that we need. Let's see, how much do we need? We need 8 of these. We need 1 silicon plate. That's it. Okay. And it's just 1 silicon dust. Okay. Okay, we've got the 1 silicon dust, which goes in the EBF, like this. And what do we have to, what do we have to program it to? 1. Okay, change you to 1, and boom, it is working. Now, I know that you have to have it with the canthal coil. You have to have it at MV. Yes, but it's only 1 amp MV. However, I am overclocking it, so it takes less time. Oh, yes, I am. Because at MV, it's actually 63 seconds, but I was doing it at HV because I was overclocking it, and wow, yeah, 30 seconds. Okay, well, I think we'll just keep it on MV, and we'll have to make more of this stuff and run a line all the way over there so that it doesn't run out of power. Of course, we might move this entire setup somewhere else because there's no way of automating stuff going in and out. So we might move this upstairs. But we have the hot silicon ingot, which we're okay with because we have the tongs in our hands. And we take it to the bath to cool it off. That'll only take 20 seconds. Okay, not too bad. And there we go. We need it in plate form, so we could actually take it over to here and manually throw it in there. And we'll get sent off to storage, where we can go ahead and grab it. Silicon plate, check. Okay, so now we can make the transistor, which requires fine tin wire, 6 fine tin wire and polyethylene. Do have the fine tin wire. Okay, so we can go to the assembler here because it has to be the advanced one. Put in some polyethylene. There it is. Put in the wire and plate. Okay, that made 8 transistors. That's all we needed to make the advanced integrated circuits. But you have to make these in a circuit assembler. So we'll run over here to the circuit assembler. Okay, we need the liquid tin in there, don't we? Yeah. Put it in. Okay, can we just click on that? Why? Yes, I have all the ingredients. Trust me. I do. I think it's because there's 2 different that you can use. Like we've got those. We've got the chip, the IC chips and the RAM chips. And we've got the transistors. We've got the wire. And we have the bolts. And there we go, our first advanced integrated circuits. We've got our 2 circuits. Now we should be able to make the circuit assembler because they're HP circuits. Yay! There we go. Now we can go ahead and make these. Make that. Make the copper nickel wire we need. The motors. And conveyor belts. And an emitter. MV emitter. I mean, that's cool. That's fancy. Okay, pump. Or piston. Robotic arm. And advanced circuit assembler. Yes! Now we can make really good circuits. Namely, these, the best MV circuits ever. That's what we want to make. And we want to use this one because it uses tin, and we've got a lot of tin. Not a whole lot of soldering iron, soldering alloy. So yeah, let's just make a whole bunch of these. All right, guys, so I've got a little system set up I've been playing around with, and I think this is going to work beautifully. So I've got this here. This is the plastic printed circuit board. This is where I'm going to be printing these, making them. This one, I've got the plastic circuit board, which is, of course, this, which you need to make the plastic printed circuit board. So I'm going to be making these here. And then the other things that we need for the circuit card, namely the resistors that use an assembler, the capacitors also uses assembler, and the transistors, you guessed it, also uses an assembler. So we're going to set up an assembler. Fine alloy wire, that one, that's just the wire mill. Set that up as well. And then the CPU chip, that uses a laser engraver and the saw, or the cutter. So we're going to set that up as well. But first, let me show you my idea here. I've got these framed redstone blocks. And if I go to there, is that right? Yeah, that's good spacing. Okay. Then we've got this here, 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 and then we're going to have wire right here. All right, so we're going to take this aluminum crate. We're going to stick it on this corner right here. All right, so now the idea, grab frog, is that this is going to be where we're grabbing stuff off of the line. So we're going to grab from right, like, say here. We're going to go right there. Oh, we got to shift. Okay. Now that is going to be called, let's try assembler. See if that works. We're going to do a little experimentation when we're done. See if my idea works. And the idea here is that this assembler will be grabbing everything that is coming to the assembler, and it will drop it into the crate. Now the reason we have the crate and the splitting of the two ways is because of, let's see, packager, and then also this thing called a bottler. So the packager and the bottler, we actually need to get them going into this middle section. That is going to be the assembler. So let's put that there. Okay, great. Okay, the packager is going to be going into the advanced assembler. Now the thing that I was messing around with, and I just kept getting things wrong. I thought you had to have these powered all the time. But the trick is that with the packager, if it's powered, it will pull things out of what it's pointing at. But if it's not powered, anything that goes into it will be it'll be unpackaged and then put into the machine. So I was playing around with this design, and I kept powering all of the packagers, and the stuff would go into the machine just fine, make the stuff, and then it would send it out the wrong packager. So that's a little trick. We got another packager on the front here. This is where, when everything is done, it's going to come out, and then it will go onto the line right there, like that. And you are going to only send packages. And then, of course, we also have to put the sign on here to give it an address. and you are going back into storage. So stuff coming to the assembler goes into there, into there, into there, done, into storage. Now I also have this framed redstone block, which we did on this other machine here. I like the way that looks, so I'm going to keep it. I like it. And now the bottler, it is going to go also into the machine right there. Not powered. Okay, now the trick with this, the bottler, you can think of it as kind of like the packager, but for liquids. And when it makes a package, instead of making a cardboard box, it makes this copper jar. And I know it says copper jar, but it can hold any liquids. It doesn't matter about the acidity or the temperature. The copper jar, that's just the liquid package. So it'll make these copper jars, send them over the line, and then the frog port, it'll get packages and copper jars, and they all go into here. Now the problem is the jar has to go into the bottler to be unpacked, and packages have to go in the packager. Problem is that the frog, it doesn't really know which goes into which. And so what you have to do is, I have some kind of storage underneath. I picked a crate because crates are good, and you can put things like conveyors into them. So put a conveyor in that and go around to the other side, put a conveyor right there. Okay, now we're going to shift, right click, and we're going to put a filter in. And you can see I've put cardboard packages in the filter, one of each type, because you don't know which one's going to come out. And then you want to make sure the NBT is not selected. That way it doesn't matter what's in the cardboard packages. It'll just, all of these packages are good. And that's going to be exporting out of the crate into the neighbor, which is the unpackager. Well, the packager, which will unpackage the boxes. So all cardboard boxes will be pushed into here, unpackaged, pushed into the machine. And it's the same thing over on this side, only instead of packages, it's copper jars. And NBT, yeah. Don't respect the NBT, it doesn't matter what's in there. Oh, and also, we gotta make sure that this is unfiltered. I'm not entirely sure if that matters in this situation. If I don't, it might interfere with the other filter because we've got two of them on here. Don't know. So that's the idea. Packages will come in, including liquid, go into the advanced assembler, make the stuff, put it out, back into storage. Okay, now we just gotta hook it up with power. Okay, then snip it. All right, power's going in. All right, you are assembler. I think this is all good. All right, this is something interesting. I was going to go ahead and make the advanced chemical reactor to replace some of the regular ones. Kind of an upgrade. And Bakelite sheets. This is kind of interesting. So I have to get the sheet from cutting. So it's kind of like cutting the gems. So in order to get a block of this, I have to solidify liquid bakelite. What is liquid bakelite, you say? Wow. Well, it involves phenolic resin and either asbestos dust, which I think we have a lot of, or treated chipboard composite. But this phenolic resin, you make that in a chemical reactor. Sodium hydroxide dust, we can get that pretty easy. But this formaldehyde and phenol. So phenol, we could distill wood tar into phenol. Or you can distill creosote into phenol. We've got a lot of creosote still. So maybe we should do this. So we need some phenol and formaldehyde along with sodium hydroxide to make the phenolic resin, which we then use with some asbestos dust to get liquid bakelite. And we need 2 sheets, which means we're going to need a full block of it. Ooh, or we could just get a couple of ingots worth and just solidify that. 1200 Kelvin. Yeah, steel drum should be fine for that. Okay. So yeah, I think let's do that. Okay, so we need enough to make 2 of these. So we need at least 2 phenolic resin ingots worth. And oh, yeah, we get a whole bucket from this. So, okay. So we just need 500 phenol, 1 bucket formaldehyde. Formaldehyde you get from methane and oxygen, or methanol and oxygen. Or you can electrolyze dimethyl carbonate to get formaldehyde. What's dimethyl carbonate? Carbon monoxide, oxygen, and methanol. So you got to get methanol this way anyway. So we might as well just get some methanol and oxygen going. Oh, but that's HV. Stinker. So we got to do methane and oxygen to get the formaldehyde anyway. All right, well, unless we go this route, but that's also HV, so never mind. All right, how do you get methane? Syngas and silver dust, idomethane and hydrogen. Oh boy. Propene. Benzene and toluene. Oh, here we go. Hydrogen. If we just do hydrogen gas and carbon dust, we can get methane that way. Aha! Yes, I think we have hydrogen. And we've got methane that way. Okay, good. So we need a carbon dust and 4 buckets of hydrogen. Just so happens, I think we have some carbon dust from some byproducts. So yeah, let's grab that. So if we go down to our storage, we should have hydrogen here. Yes. Tons of it. All right, well, let's get 4 buckets of it. I guess we'll stick it in this gold drum. All right, if we want 4 buckets of this stuff, we should probably just use our bucket. Forgot. Hydrogen gas. Go in the inventory. Okay. Backpack. All right, well, we have some chemical reactors right here. Let's just use this. Okay, for hydrogen, we probably don't want this thing shot any. Well, it can't because it's a liquid. Okay, never mind. All right, so throw the carbon dust in there. What does it have to be on? 1. All right, so this is circuit 1. Oh, it's gonna take 175 seconds. All right, we're gonna grab some oxygen. Let's see, can I not grab little? I can. Okay, good. So I just need 1 bucket. I think I need 1 bucket. Yep, there we go. 1 bucket oxygen, 1 bucket methane. There's our hydrogen and formaldehyde. So now we just need 500 millibuckets of phenol. Just grab a barrel. We'll get ourselves some creosote out of here. Luckily, there's enough. And a distillery. Oh, we've got distillery here. Should I use this though? Yeah, sure, why not? So it needs to be set to 2. So first we're going to disable the auto output. Put in... Oh, it's already set to 2. Okay, put in this. Creosote should be making it. Yes, phenol. There we go. Don't forget to grab it and set the enable to the auto output of the fluids. So this is back to normal. Great. So now we can come back to here and let's see, we need to grab the formaldehyde, put it back in, and take phenol, put it in. Okay, so now the only thing that we're missing is the sodium hydroxide dust. Okay. And here's a really cool thing. So this is plastic printed circuit. We can go over to here and look at the sodium hydroxide dust. Yes, we have one. Okay, so now we can take it and we could say go to plastic printed circuit. Now, if we send that, we'll take that hazardous stuff and we don't have to touch it. The frog puts it on, gets in there, and it's running. Yep, I didn't have to touch it at all. Oh, is that not consumed? Oh dear, that might be a problem. Oh yeah, it's got the NC. It's not consumed. Oh dear. Well, we may have to carry that out. All right. Well, let's get back to what we were doing. Let's worry about that later. Future Dave problem. So now that we have the phenolic resin, we need some asbestos dust, a couple of those in a mixer. Oh, okay. All right, so what we can do is take this and put it in our little jar here. Okay, for some reason it made those go away. That was like very scary. No, I need this resin. Let's grab the resin in the bucket. And I guess put the hydrogen in the gold drum. We'll have to put in our backpack so we don't float. And it needs to go in a mixer. We could use the mixer here. No heating required. Okay, good. So put that in there. We just need some asbestos dust. Grab a couple of those. Oh, no. Oh, dang it. Do that. Put it in there. Okay. So now we can just grab the asbestos out, put it in there, not have to touch it. And there's our liquid bakelite. Nice. If I grab it with this bucket, am I going to burn? Or is it going to grab the resin? It will not grab anything. Okay, good. Let's get our steel drum out. Grab the bakelite. Okay, good. That worked. We can come over to the solidifier here. Get the plate mold. Put that in and dump that in. There we go. Okay, just like that, we've got 2 bakelite sheets. Cool. Okay, so now we can go ahead and finish building that and that and advanced chemical reactor. All right, cool. Okay, I've got all of these chemical reactors upgraded now, and I've got some other stuff that I added. The wire mill for wires. I got the laser engraver. This one is specifically for the CPU chips. I think we're going to have a lot of different laser engravers just because they require different lenses. You could have the lenses in storage and have them shipped as part of the recipe. But then how do you get them out of the laser? Because when this is done, this doesn't go into there. So I'm thinking we're going to have a bunch of different laser engravers just for the different materials. The diamond lens is for the CPU chip, which is what we need for the different processors. So got that. Got the cutter here. So we got a nice growing set of automated stations. But what we really need is to automate chips and then automate other things. And the problem with that is that we need liquids. And that's why we've got these bottlers here. But where are we going to get the liquids from? Well, over here, I made a little bit of an expansion. So this corner now goes down into here, which goes along here. And I think I'm going to put my fluid storage along this wall right here. Along here, you can see I've got some storage for liquids, well, slash gas. But, you know, gas is just a highly energetic liquid, right? So my liquid storage here, I've got some stuff, and the trouble that I was having was getting these put into the correct super tanks. Like I explained before, I've got these filters, so this filter will only allow these 4 things to go through. So that goes through to here, and then I keep decreasing the number of things that go through until finally we have everything sorted. The problem is these filters, you can only filter up to 9 things, and I am going to have a buttload of liquids. The acids alone are like 21. So yeah, plus there's liquid metals and other things that we're going to need. But I do have an idea. I'll grab the materials and take it over there, and we'll set up a nice liquid storage. Okay guys, this is the setup that I think I'm going to settle on. So we've got a frog port here. I'm calling it liquid storage. Anything that needs to be stored is going to come down the cables here, the chains, come over here, and liquid storage will pick it up. There's a bottler here, which will put it into the pipe system. And then from here, we've got a couple of different options. There's this line right here, and it's going to be 9 pipes long. There we go. So a branch off like this, and then this is the main line like this, and then I can have another branch coming off right there, and then another branch, and another, and another, and another. All the branches I need. And the reason for this is the filters. Let's see. Yeah, we got a filter on the pipe that way, and a filter on this pipe. So the filter here, it's got 9 spots, and I've got basically a blacklist here. And I'm going to put all of the liquids that are in the first branch in this blacklist. So none of those liquids can actually get past here. So they'll be forced to go this way. So I've got this filter to allow all of the liquids that can go this way. And let's see, we got liquid polyethylene as the first one. So we'll have all of the 9. And then on the next one, it will allow only everything except the polyethylene. So the polyethylene is forced to stop here and drop into this tank. And even if we have this locked, we still need the filter, because the lock just makes it so that only liquid polyethylene will go into here. It does not prevent polyethylene from continuing onward and getting stuck in the pipes further this way. So you got to stop it right here. And then the next one right here, we would have glue. Let's see, I'm kind of doubling this up right here. So there's a walkway to get to these. And then if I do these back to back, then there'll be another walkway right here where I can walk along, access this liquid if I want to manually. And on the other side here, I'd have another row, just like that. So I can walk in between the two, access stuff, and then it would double up again. I'd be able to walk through this side, and so on and so on. So let's add another liquid here. I've got a super tank, so we'll stick it down like that. And then we need the bottler attached, just like that. And then, of course, a frog port, and this is going to put out onto that chain. You are a send only. And then to connect it to the network, we've got the stock link. Make sure it's tuned to the other stock link on the network. Okay. Crouch down and click it. All right. So now that means that this is also hooked up to the network. And I've got this steel drum. I got a whole bunch of soldering alloy. I decided to use that instead of tin just because I have so much of it. I melted a whole bunch, so we've got like 6 buckets, but I have thousands of soldering alloy dust to melt down. So, I mean, if I ever do end up running out, I can always change the recipe, turn over to tin, replace this with tin. But till then, you know, we'll just use this because it's more efficient. So bring pipes over, make sure they're connected. All right, now I gotta do the filters. So there's a filter in this one, filter in that one, filter in there, and filter in there. We've got polyethylene, glue, sulfuric acid, and soldering alloy. So we need to make sure that we add those to here. Sulfuric acid, check. Soldering alloy, check. All right, so that's those 4. Then we need to add those to this blacklist as well. All right, there we go. So those are blacklisted. So now if anything comes in, it will not go past there. It will go this way. All 4 of those go into here, but the polyethylene stops. So the next one, we've got glue, sulfuric acid, and the soldering alloy. Let's quickly add sulfuric acid to this one as well. In fact, if I leave the upper left spot here as the one that this is going into, then I can quickly see, oh, well, yeah, this is the sulfuric acid. If I need to remember that, okay. We also need to add the soldering alloy. Okay, those 3 good. Soldering alloy has to go into the next one. And then this last one, soldering alloy is the one that is being inserted into this. And I gotta make sure that I've got these unfiltered. Actually, I don't know. Items fluids will only move as specified by the cover and its filter. No, and the reason why we don't want that is because we also want fluids to go into the super tanks. So the super tank needs to be able to extract liquids from the pipe. All right, so there we go. We've got these 4 set up. So if we have anything coming in, it will go into the proper tank. And then of course we could do another 5 all the way up to there, because we can have a total of 9. And then if we have more than 9, we move on to the next branch and just keep going until we are full. This is another thing that I was working on off camera because it was a bit complicated and I wanted to figure it out. So it's using the gauges. I've got some gauges here that are attuned to the same network. See, like this, it's tuned. So you can see everything that we have in here. I started out by making the microprocessors for the LV circuits. So I put that down, and then I've got all of these that go to it. And then it's actually being used to make these stock links because I wanted to map out the use of these, or I wanted to map out the creation of these gauges because we're going to be using a lot of these gauges. So this is how you make a gauge. So the gauge recipe requires the precision mechanism, some aluminum screws, some diodes, stock links, some quartz plates, and an LV circuit. So those 6 things. So I got the 5 here, plus it's connected to here. And if we right click on this, you can see you can enter the amounts if you need to change it. Like let's say there's 4 screws instead of 2, you can scroll the mouse wheel up to increase that or decrease. And this particular recipe will give you 2 gauges. So same thing, you want to scroll and change that to the appropriate number, and then write exactly where these crafting ingredients get sent to. In this case, it's the assembler. And so right now we've got 0 in stock. If I put some more into storage here like this, it actually says there's 0 still. Okay, I know exactly why though. Go here and search for gauges. Yep, it's because they're already attuned to the network. And I did have to change this a little bit because the problem was if I had all of these ingredients going through the repackager and then getting sucked out and sent over to things, the problem is I've got these fluid gauges hooked up to the recipes because some of these things need fluid. For instance, the processors here, it requires some soldering alloy in the circuit assembler. And so it's a liquid, and the liquid gauge works exactly like all these others, only like we discussed earlier, it's the copper jar that gets sent out instead of a cardboard package. Well, that copper jar is coming from those fluid tanks in the basement. And those are getting picked up by the machines because they're, on the system right here before they get to the repackager. And because everything else from the storage is coming this way, then all of that together is in an order and they don't get received together in the repackager. And that's what the repackager does. And so it ends up being stuck in the vault and not being let out. So what I had to do is that any recipe that uses a liquid as well as a physical item, that has to be repackaged at the actual machine over here. So like the assembler right here, we had to change it. Instead of having the frog down low like that, we had to put a repackager right underneath him. So now when he gets packages, he will be acting as the gate for the repackaging. And then once all the packages from that order come to him, then he'll send them into the repackager. The repackager will then drop it down into the crate below, and then we'll do the normal separating of the jars and the cardboard packages, which then go into the assembler like it's supposed to. So I've got the same thing on the circuit assembler over here, and if we might have to actually change these as well, because yeah, the chemical reactors, they're going to need some liquids coming in. So we are going to have to do the same thing on this side, but that's okay. It's really simple. Just add a repackager on top in between the frog and the crate. And to get the repackager, you just take a packager and craft it into a repackager. So pretty easy. So this did end up being a bit complicated. You can move these around. Yeah, it's a bit of a mess. Not exactly sure how I want to arrange these yet, but they're on the board, and I just stuck a bunch of brass casings against the wall here, just like that, because I found that putting these gauges on the stone wall and the bricks, it just didn't show up very well. And I like the look of the brass casings, so I think we're going to use this as our board material. Oh, that changed the path from going along this way to going up there. Oh, because, yeah, the stock link also uses microprocessor as well as the gauges. So there's actually a line that goes up into here, and there's a line that goes across into there. So yeah, it's kind of a mess. I'm not exactly sure what to do here. Let's set up a link. So I've got this one. It is not set up at all, which means, yeah, there's 0 in there. If I go ahead and stick this one that's not linked up, it should show 1. Yeah, okay, good. So if I have a gauge that is not linked up, then I can hold it and I can right click on an existing gauge that has something in it to hook up to the network, just like that. Or if I wanted to, I could also right click on the stock ticker here. That also connects it to the network, or any of the stock links that will connect. So now let's say I want to this here, and I want to make the MV circuits. And that is the microprocessors. So drag that over. If you have one of these in your hand, then you can just right click with it in your hand on an empty gauge to set it. So now if you right click on it, add a connection, okay, right click again on the connection you want. These actually use the exact same materials as the LV ones, except the difference is they use a different wire. So it doesn't use the copper wire, it uses the red alloy fine wire. So we're going to need to take another gauge, and let's just add it like right here then. So I found that if you right click empty and search, it's pretty easy, but let's grab some wire and show you that one. Okay, so now I have it in my hand. I can right click, set it. Pretty easy. Oh, there's 55 in there. No, there's not. Now there's 56. Yep. Okay, so let's add that as our last connection. Well, not exactly, because we also need to add soldering alloy, which you can see we've got a little over 6 buckets. So now we have 2 in stock right now. If I right click, you can see the ingredients. Well, that's not exactly right. Yes, there's 1 plastic circuit board and 1 CPU chip, but we need to have 4 of the resistors, 4 of the capacitors, 4 of the transistors, and 4 of the red alloy wire. And the soldering alloy, you actually hold shift, and when you scroll, it'll change by 10. And if you hold control and shift, it does nothing. Okay. So we're going to change that up to 72, I believe it is, exactly half of an ingot. And that doesn't make 1, it actually makes 2 processors. So that is all set, except we need to say, hey, this is made in the circuit assembler. Give it a good address. All right, so now we've got one of those, some of these, and some of that. If we wanted to, we could actually make 1 more. In fact, maybe we should do that and show you what's going on. So instead of 2, we want 2 more. So we're going to set this to 4. As soon as I do that, yep, everything's being requested. Stuff is being sent onto the line, going into the circuit assembler. The jar must have gotten there before we came over because it had the soldering alloy in it. Microprocessors are made, get sent, put into the system, and you can see there's now 4. We're going to turn that off for now because what I want to get set up is, yeah, it's good to have these set up so you can automatically make these, but the problem is I need to set up the base resources, because if you don't have the base resources to make all these things, then you can't make the more advanced things. So I still have a lot of stuff to do. Like we got to do another recipe to make circuit boards, and all of this stuff need additional recipe trees. Now, I guess if I wanted to, I could. These don't have to be linked up to other ones. I could have recipes in separate corners, but it is kind of cool having all of these hooked up, and it uses less gauges. Annealed fine copper. Okay, so now if I right click on this one and add these, just like that. Okay, that will still work. And then I don't have a bunch of lines going everywhere. The only downside of that is that you use more gauges. So I don't know, maybe I'll use both depending on the situation. Now to move these, let's say I want to move this over to there. Yeah, that way you can see the glue hooked up there, those two hooked up there. Then of course if I want that to change, I can click on it. Right click on it? No. Okay, so it's the ingredients that you click on. So if I want this glue to change, it's now going up. I actually want it to go like that. Yeah, there we go. And I did do some playing around. It looks like when you move this, you can't move it farther than 16 blocks away from its connection. I don't know if that's a setting, but that's what I found. I don't think you would want to have this stuff moved around too much. But yeah, there you go. I just need to fill out a whole bunch more gauges and get this thing going. And I think we're going to call that an episode. Hope you guys all had a lot of fun and learned something new about these gauges and the automating process. Until next time, catch you later. Bye.